What if I told you that in 1944, right in the middle of a world war, a document was published that claimed to codify all of human reasoning, a blueprint for thought itself, buried for almost 80 years? We found it. And let me tell you, it reads less like a textbook and more like a grimoire.
Okay, let's reel it in just a little, Jordan. What we have is a manual, a very, very strange one called Barbara Cubed, the Manual of Pure Logic, by a guy named C.F. Russell. But whether it's some profound lost work or just a forgotten academic paper, well, that's what we're here to find out.
And it starts with this dedication, right on the first page. It's not for the student, not for the reader, but for the practicus. It sounds like an initiation, Alex. Like it's for someone who doesn't just want to read about logic, they want to practice it, to wield it. Who is the practicus?
Or, it could just be an old-fashioned term for practitioner. But you're right, it sets a very specific, almost secretive tone from the jump.
Welcome to Urban Odyssey Video, where we chase the shadows of truth.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Jordan. Tonight, we are digging up a system that promised to be a key to all arguments, one that literally maps logic onto alchemy and then completely disappeared. You're going to want to stick around. This one gets weird.
All right, so let's start with what the manual says it is. On page 1, Russell lays out his goal, to define the general form of all reasoning. He calls it pure or formal logic. Basically, he wants to strip away all the messy parts of language, all the psychology, the philosophy, the rhetoric, and just get to the raw mechanics of a valid argument. A sterile, perfect machine for thinking. I don't know, it already sounds a little unnerving.
Exactly, and the first step in building that machine is to create something he calls a logical object. The system takes, and I'm quoting here, the rough material of our thoughts, words, sentences, and it refines them. It's all about turning ambiguous language into these precise, quantifiable units that his system can actually work with. It's about making thought manageable.
The next piece of the puzzle is the equation. The manual defines this as combining two names for the same thing. So a statement like all men are mortals basically becomes a mathematical formula. The key here is what he calls illative force, the raw power of inference, of deduction itself.
Illative force. See, even the official language sounds like it's straight out of a spell book. He's not just describing thought, he's trying to harness its power.
And to do that, he basically invented his own language. A really specific notation with its own rules, all designed to be perfectly unambiguous. So let's dive into the code. Okay, and this is where you start to see the sheer scale of what he's attempting. According to page 5 of the manual, this table right here represents the 16 and only 16 possible types of assertions a human being can make.
Every statement. Every single one. I love you. The government is lying. This is a good cup of coffee.
Russell is claiming they all boil down to one of these 16 mathematical forms. I mean, that's an absolutely insane level of ambition.
But hold on, Alex. This is where it all pivots for me. The system seems so rigid, so mathematical on the surface. But all that precision, it might just be camouflage. What if this isn't a language for describing reality, but for programming it? What if this is about way more than just logic?
Because this is where the mask comes off. The entire system of logic. It isn't built on numbers or some abstract principles. It's built on this, the alchemical cube. And suddenly, we're not in a university library anymore. We're in some kind of hidden laboratory.
So according to page 8, the entire framework is a three-dimensional, 8-pointed cube. Every argument, every single deduction happens inside this structure. It's a conceptual map, a machine for reasoning that has this specific, esoteric geometry.
And just look at the names for the dimensions of this cube. The first principle is Q, which he calls salt. The second is J, quicksilver. The third is X, sulfur. Come on, these are the three prime materials of alchemy. Why, in a book on pure logic, would you use alchemical terms?
Well, I have to point out, Jordan, on page 9, the author does say, quote, "The alchemical nomenclature is given here for reference." He kind of brushes it off like it's just a convenient labeling system.
That is classic misdirection. Oh, don't worry about the occult symbols, it's just for reference. That is exactly what you'd say if you were trying to hide the true nature of the work in plain sight.
And he doubles down on it. It's not just the three principles. Each pole of the cube is assigned a metal. Salt is silver and lead. Quicksilver is mercury and tin. Sulfur is copper and iron. This is not just a labeling system. This is a fully fledged correspondence map. He is directly linking logical operations to ancient mystical traditions. There's no other way to see it.
Okay, but let's get back to the mechanics of it. As bizarre as all the terminology is, Russell insists this alchemical cube is a functional machine. It's designed for one specific purpose: to solve syllogisms,
to figure out if an argument is actually valid. In fact, on page 20, he offers what he calls the shortcut. It's basically an algebraic method for solving any argument without even needing to visualize the cube. You just follow these 5 steps, and the correct conclusion is generated automatically. But look at the language. Step 1. Put the syzygy into working form. Now, in logic, a syzygy is just a pair of premises, but that word also means an alignment of celestial bodies like planets. This whole process feels less like doing a math problem and more like performing a ritual, an incantation to force a conclusion out of a set of ideas.
Which brings us to the manual's ultimate promise. I mean, if this system can really map all thought and solve any argument, what is its final, most powerful application? Well, Russell claims he used it to crack a problem that has stumped logicians for centuries.
Right. On page 23, he makes this incredibly bold claim about the a fortiori argument. That's the classic greater than argument. A is taller than B is taller than C, therefore A is taller than C. It's obviously true, but for centuries, it technically broke the rules of a formal syllogism because it looked like it had 4 terms instead of 3. Russell claims he fixed it.
And this is actually a brilliant illustration of his method. He doesn't change the logic, he changes the language. He transforms A is greater than B into this new formulation. All the greatness of B is some of the greatness of A. By just reformulating the words, he makes it fit perfectly into a system. He solves this ancient problem by re-engineering reality through language.
Or he's showing you how to cast a spell with words. He's making reality conform to the structure of the logic, not the other way around.
Which leads us to the central mystery of this whole thing. We have a manual, published in the 1940s, that claims to have unified logic, built it on an alchemical framework, and solved ancient paradoxes.
So where did it go? Why isn't Barbara Cube the foundation of all computer science and philosophy? Why has it been completely memory holed?
1944. Think about the context. The Manhattan Project is in full swing. The world is obsessed with code breaking and new, secret technologies of warfare. What if a technology of thought was discovered at the very same time?
A powerful tool appearing at a very powerful moment in history. And then, just silence.
So there are a few possibilities here. The simplest one is that it was just an academic dead end, a brilliant but ultimately flawed idea from an eccentric thinker that, just didn't work in practice.
Or it worked too well. Think about that.
A system that can definitively solve any argument, a tool that could be used for persuasion, for propaganda, for control, a weapon of the mind. Maybe it wasn't forgotten. Maybe it was classified. Suppressed technology.
So let's recap the bombshells here. A 1944 manual claims to have codified all of human reasoning.
Its entire system is secretly built on a framework of alchemy.
It provides a literal formula to solve any argument like an equation.
And it claims to have solved the logical paradox that stood for centuries.
And then this potentially revolutionary system just completely vanished off the face of the earth.
So we leave you with the question, do you believe this was just a forgotten theory from some brilliant eccentric? Or did C.F. Russell stumble upon a technology of thought so powerful it had to be taken off the board and hidden away in the shadows?
We've only scratched the surface here. The manual gets even deeper. It brings in astrological signs. For our complete analysis of the document, you have to check out our Substack at theofficialurbanist.substack.com. And we really want to know what you think. Find us on X @officialurbanist and use the hashtag #BarbaraCubed. Is this a code, a tool, or just a forgotten curiosity? Let us know. Thanks for joining us.